Hi, Will Schweller here to walk you through some of the highlight lots in Clarke Auction's June 5th sale. Starting with this somewhat unusual but really interesting work by Robert Gwathmey. Gwathmey, famous for his depictions of these sort of angular modernist figures working in the fields, but here we've got, this detail sort of sums up his style of depicting figures. We've got an individual piloting a helicopter. Work comes from a house up in Connecticut, so I have to wonder if there's a connection to Sikorsky, which is based up there. But in any event, a really nice, interesting Gwathmey piece with a $1,500 to $2,500 estimate. To its left, from a collection over in Pound Ridge, we've got a great lithograph by the Mexican modernist master Rufino Tamayo. This work's titled El Coyote, depicting a coyote howling at the moon. Really great example of Tamayo's printed work. His lithographic technique, you really see the sort of layering of colors here that's trademark of his works. I think a really great print. Being sold with a $2,000 to $3,000 estimate. Above it, we've got a personal favorite of mine in the sale, a great oil on paper by the preeminent American female abstractionist Emily Mason. This work's from 1982 and it's titled As Sounding. Comes from a local collection with a $4,000 to $6,000 estimate, framed quite nicely here behind glass. I really love these just vast passages of almost still negative space and color, juxtaposed with this real gestural passage down here kind of in the lower left corner. I think the composition's really well balanced, a really nice piece. Moving along, we've got a great color etching by James Rizzi, a sort of pop artist famed for his colorful, exuberant city scenes. Here we've got a really crowded city street, people walking, buses, cars, and these fun buildings with apples. Of course, to symbolize the Big Apple, comes from another local collection with a $600 to $900 estimate. Above it, we've got a pair of paintings grouped together as one lot. Bit of a mystery here. They are, as you'll be able to maybe pick up in the video, but we'll certainly be able to pick up in our catalog, signed in the lower right, but we've not been able to make out the signature. But I think they're a really nice pair of mid-century abstracts, great palettes, reds and pinks, being sold together as one lot with a $500 to $700 estimate. To its left, sort of in a very different vein, we've got a large-scale winter carriage scene by the Russian artist Peter Konstantin Stojino. Comes out of a Tarrytown collection. There's really marvelous details here. We've got the horses chomping at the bit, running through the snow, figures merrymaking on the back, and I really like this guy here. So excited he's firing off a pistol. The artist is known for these carriage scenes, winter scenes, and this particular example is being offered with a $4,000 to $6,000 estimate. Right, moving along to another artist with a Russian connection here. We have a great little oil on paper by Marc Chagall titled Le Perroquet. Comes from a Long Island collection, actually a work we sold a few years ago. It's always nice when things come back to us. The work is being sold this time with a $3,000 to $5,000 estimate. And on the back, you've got M. Andre Scholler gallery labels. It's a really interesting peek into Chagall's process. This is sort of a rather unfinished looking sketch of a bird. I think a really whimsical little piece, quite nice. And above it, we've got another example of illegibly signed abstract paintings that we think are quite nice and are putting up with $500 to $700 estimates. They're signed on the back, dated 1976, so check out our catalog for those images. Came in during our walk-in Wednesday. I think are just really cool, minimalist pieces with really nice texture to the surface. Here from the same collection as the Russian carriage scene, we've got an absolutely exquisite Fabio Fabi painting of figures in a courtyard here. Fabi, late 19th, early 20th century Italian Orientalist, known for exactly this, scenes of women in Middle Eastern architectural settings. I think the details on the rugs here are just fantastic. These jeweled toned pinks, roses that they're trimming are fantastic. Got this great peacock here. The work does have a bit of condition issues, but it's just really trademark Fabi. I love his sort of impressionist treatment of faces. It's a really special painting, being sold with a $20,000 to $30,000 estimate. Above it, we've got a really interesting American piece by Aaron Bowrod titled The Queen of Hearts. Bowrod, an artist we've been handling quite frequently of late, is best known for his still lifes, almost surreal juxtaposition of images. Here we've got a bust of Caesar next to this face. The work's cataloged as having losses. You're not really going to be able to pick them up here in the video because they're at the tippy top of the painting, kind of in the background. But I will point out that the appearance of paint flaking on the face of the bust here is trompe l'oeil, a visual effect, something Borod's a master of. So when you're looking at the catalog and you see losses, it's just little chips of paint that are at the top of the painting. A lot of those losses in her cheeks and in her nose are part of the painting. It's made to look that way. It comes from a Connecticut collection being sold with a $1,000 to $1,500 estimate. Across the office, we've got another piece that I'm really delighted to have in this month's sale. It's, of course, a screen print by Andy Warhol from the mid-'80s depicting the Brooklyn Bridge. Really excellent trademark 80s Warhol here. Perfect for any New Yorker. As a resident of Brooklyn, I'm quite partial to it. Really graphic, really bold. Excellent opportunity for someone to get into Warhol collecting, especially now with the market being as hot as it is. Comes from a White Plains collection, and we're selling it with a $20,000 to $30,000 estimate. Of course, pencil signed and numbered down here in the lower left. On the other side of the gallery here, hanging above the Steinway, we've got a really charming, large, 20th century British painting by a royal academician named Bernard Dunstan. Dunstan's known for his quiet, contemplative interiors and scenes of domestic life. Here we've got a mother bathing her 2 children. Really tender painting, came out of an apartment down in Manhattan and being sold with a $1,500 to $2,500 estimate. Above the door we've got the first of 2 works by by Girolamo Gianni, Italian Maltese painter, best known for scenes like this. These sort of panoramic, almost bird's eye views of Valletta Harbor in Malta. So here we've got an example of that, the walled city of Valletta in the background. Really well done mid-19th century paintings. We've got 2, each lotted separately with $4,000 to $6,000 estimates. We'll move along here to a nice abstract from the mid-century by a British painter named Brian Winter. Winter was based on the English coast in Cornwall and was one of the leaders of post-war English abstraction. His paintings were collected by folks like Bowie. This little piece is titled Bellevue Street 1, comes from a Long Island collections being sold with a $3,000 to $5,000 estimate. Below it, from just a house around here in Larchmont, we've got a really fantastic still life by the Italian painter Antonio Bueno from 1952. Almost photorealist in its quiet depiction of paintbrushes, a tube of paint, and a mug. Really excellent, super crisply rendered painting. Bueno's still lifes are, I think, quite masterful. This is an excellent example of it, being sold with a $6,000 to $9,000 estimate. Below it, from a collection in Tarrytown, we've got a nice Miro dry point and aqua tint from the portfolio L'Issue dérobée. Here an artist's proof. Does have a bit of toning, but a really nice, more abstract Miro. Print being sold with $1,000 to $1,500. Another great abstract print here hanging behind this Santos figure. From the same White Plains collection as the Andy Warhol, we have a Roy Lichtenstein woodcut and screen print titled The Imperfect Print for BAM, the Brooklyn Academy of Music. It's an interesting 80s abstract, 87 that is, Lichtenstein. Quite graphic here, referencing sort of the Ben-Day dots that are a trademark of his more comic book derived pop artwork. A really great 80s Lichtenstein print, highly desirable from an edition of 75. The market for these is continuing to grow, and we're selling it with a $20,000 to $30,000 estimate. To its left, we've got a grouping of 3 works here, all in a very different vein. Down here, something that came in during our walk-in Wednesday from a Connecticut collection is a nice, probably 16th, maybe early 17th century Spanish portrait of a gentleman. It's obviously got a bit of condition issues, but I think a little light restoration and a cleaning would really make it shine. Being offered with a $1,500 to $2,500 estimate. Just really, really excellent detail here in the lacework on the collar, and that sort of dour visage, so typical of Spanish painting of the period. Above it, we've got an early 20th century American pastel by the realist master William Glackens. Glackens, of course, one of the founders of the Ashcan School, kind of an iconic American painter up there with Bellows and Henry. And here in this pastel, it's a study for his work, The Soda Fountain, which is currently in the collection of the Pennsylvania Academy of the Fine Arts. Really great slice of life American scene here, figures sitting at the soda counter. Really nice. Comes from a New York collection, being sold with a $2,000 to $3,000 estimate. And above it, probably picking up a bit of glare, we've got a really interesting European school 17th century oil on panel of 2 male nudes. Really well done, great musculature studies. Comes from a collection in Long Island being sold with a $1,500 to $2,500 estimate. And to its left, we've got the second of the Girolamo Gianni oil on canvas Maltese scenes, another view of Valletta. Really desirable. I think it's great with the figures rowing in the foreground. Nice bright Italian, or I suppose Maltese port scene there, again with a $4,000 to $6,000 estimate. I want to separately highlight this sculpture here by the preeminent 20th century French sculptor César Baldaccini, often just referred to as César, a nouveau realiste known for his compression sculptures. He compressed trash, cars, and in many cases soda cans, which is what we have here. This piece comes from an important Manhattan collection. It's signed down here on the base, and is a really great example of the artist's work on a nice accessible scale. We're offering it with a $20,000 to $30,000 estimate. Really couldn't be more thrilled to have it here in the gallery. Here in the main gallery, you're really going to get a sense of the breadth of this month's sale. If drawings by Chagall are a bit out of your price range, we've got a number of prints here. This one actually signed and dated in the lower right. That are a good opportunity to have a Chagall on your wall. Nice pair of watercolors on silk by an artist La Roche-Lafitte, depicting a lion and a giraffe. Interesting abstract here by an Australian artist, Lorraine Gill. First time her work's coming up at auction as far as I've been able to tell. Nice little surrealist scene by the American painter Boris Margot. And a grouping of 3 each lotted individually. Fun Cubist paintings from a Long Island collection signed Baumgartner. Nice Isaac Pais clown painting. A couple strong abstract paintings that we haven't been able to attribute to anybody, but good mid-century pieces. Of course, an op art serigraph by Victor Vasarely. Again, here we've got another Chagall print, this for the Magic Flute. Nice poster, a good George Braque etching here, and above it, a great woodcut by Max Pechstein. Here's something I'm particularly excited to be selling. It's a drawing by Miles Davis, who in his later career, 70s and 80s, took to painting. So we've got a figure here. Been listening to a lot of In a Silent Way recently, so it's a real treat to be able to sell this. Again, more Chagall posters for the Metropolitan Opera and the Paris Opera. We've got a pair of paintings by this artist, R. Clarke. Not been able to find a listing for them, but really nice mid-century New York scenes. Here we're looking up Park Avenue. A really excellent painting here that, if we'd had space for it, would have hung in the front by the German Jewish painter Julie Wolfthorn. This comes from a local collection in New Rochelle. It's a portrait of the consignor's ancestor. Wolfthorn is known for her really great society portraits, was a leading painter in the sort of turn of the century Germany, but then ultimately was a victim of the Holocaust. This is a really great painting with a $6,000 to $9,000 estimate. Again, another one of those R. Clarke's here, a more bird's eye view of the east side. Above it, a Levier Parisian scene signed under his pseudonym A. Villard. This piece here has been a bit of a mystery to me. Came in during one of our walk-in Wednesdays, and I've not been able to make out the signature, but it's a really fantastic, probably South Asian modernist scene. It's got Hong Kong framers labels on the back. A great large Henri Mike, bit atypical because of all this neutral space, but this trademark whimsical lions and birds in the sun. A nice piece. Here's a great portrait of a woman in fur by the Italian artist Aldo Severi from 1937. And cool work that comes in from a Massachusetts collection by the American modernist Joseph Vorst, who was particularly active during the WPA. This is, I suppose, the bow of a ship, or maybe a pier. An interesting still life painting featuring a piano and potted plant. A nice Emile Groupe landscape up top from the New York collection, as well as a Dali lithograph from the Tarrytown collection featuring that Joan Miro we looked at in the front gallery. Here an interesting painting came in from a Pelham collection. Not been able to make out the signature, it's signed down in the lower left, but a really, really well executed painting of bathers. And above it, from a collection up in Rye, a strong early American portrait of a girl holding a flower. This portrait here of these three children is from that same house up in Rye. Really, really well done, large, impressively framed American portrait of children. And a nice collection of 19th century art as well, hanging here, including this monk scene, St. Grützner. The Brooklyn Bridge, a repeat motif in this month's sale here in a painting by Saul Wilson. And up here above this chest, we've got a great portrait by the Irish-born artist Daniel MacLeish, portrait of an engineer. There's information in the catalog about the subject. Nice early 19th century portrait. The face is really well done, as is the face of this gentleman here, in this 18th century French portrait of a nobleman from a Connecticut collection. As always, just seen a drop in the bucket of this month's sale. We've got about 150 fine art lots and are already hard at work on our July 10th auction. So please do check out our catalog online, and if you have any questions, do not hesitate to contact us at the gallery. Thanks for watching.